All right, we are live. We'll see if the system can handle this now. And it kills me because this Apple TV deal was a deal up until about, 20 minutes ago. So the Apple TV is no longer on sale. But we're going to talk about it anyhow because I already set this whole thing up. So there you go. So there we go. We got everything running here. We got the Apple TV, we got the Roku, we got the Fire Stick. And I'm going to start on Amazon in a minute here once I get everything configured. And let's see what else we got here. That's a bummer. So I guess they must have sold out of the Apple TV because I was literally like looking at it 5 minutes ago and it was there, but now it's not. Oh well. I got my friends here though. That's all I need. So we got Joe Tyson is back and William Wilkinson is back. Yeah, so we'll stream for about an hour or so and then I'm going to call it a night. And I am pushing my system in ways I've never pushed it before. So I've got, here, check out this cool screen I set up. So I've got all 4 of these boxes running concurrently at the same time. Isn't that wild? And then I can select one. So let's say I wanted to look at the Apple TV. I can do that. And this is all like 4K. Isn't that crazy? And my system still has like tons of room. So I'm looking at my utilization here. I'm pushing things further than I've ever pushed them before. But so my CPU usage is up there. It's about 54%. My GPU is in that realm as well. But we're getting there. Travis Rhodes is here. Good to see you. And who else is here? We've got, yeah, everything's on sale. This is like, today's the day to do it. Matt Thomas, Taylor, I rule. You rule. Thank you very much for that. David Parker is here. Trent is here. Hey, Trent, I bought all of my stuff today. So I am a couple days away from my base station arriving. And we should attempt a 10-meter contact. Maybe like JS8 call or something. So let me know if you're up for it. And Travis bought 2 Roku HDs. Yeah, they were on sale. And it kills me. The Apple TV was on sale, and I snoozed. I took too long, because I went to go start my stream, and it said, hey, idiot, the Apple TV is no longer on sale. So I lost the opportunity on that one. But, yeah, so the Apple TV 4K. Oh, it's still on. Huh. It's weird. It wouldn't let me start the stream. Well, we're going to talk about it anyhow, but I couldn't add it to the mix. Let me try this again and see if it lets me add it, because it was on sale. Maybe it fell off the deal thing. I don't know. I'll just direct people there when we do it. Let's see. Let's add it to the stream. And I have this set up as a deal stream. And then if I preview it, yeah, it says go back and remove ineligible products. So I guess it is not an active deal, so I'll remove it. It's still on there, though. You can still get it for $109. So I'm going to talk about it, even though I can't put it in my product carousel here. But that's okay. All right, so I think we're almost ready to go here. And David says, I said stream from a DJI Pocket 2. Set up the stream and use a spare smart device. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? I got to start messing around with stuff. I've got like so much stuff on my screen right now because I have like this 3-up view. It's actually working pretty well. And we've got all these things overhead here. And I'm going to start the Amazon stream now. And we'll do my thing. And yes, you did manage to arrive at the start here. So yeah, we are going for it. Yeah, so what we're going to do tonight is look at the 3 major streaming platforms that are on sale today. The Apple TV was on a deal and now it isn't, but you can still get it at the price. So we're going to look at all of this stuff together. And we'll just kind of step through one at a time. And I've got this really neat setup here on my desk, and I can just go like this and switch between them. Isn't that wild? So A is the Apple TV. S is the, on my key, I have a keyboard here. Oops. So A is the Apple TV, S is the Fire TV, and D is the Roku. And I can just kind of switch between them here as I go. But we're going to look at all of these. And I've got a crazy setup here. So the The Fire TV is a little off camera here. Let's see if I can get it a little bit more in frame. So here's the Fire TV, here's the Apple TV, and here's the Roku. And I've got all three remotes here. This little disc is an NDI capture device. So what this does is it takes my Roku video and shoots it out over the network. Isn't that cool? So that is what we're setting up here. And CM is here. Hello there. Good to see you. Roger's here from Belgium. And it's, yeah, mashed potatoes and gravy. It looks like that, doesn't it? Yeah, so the Apple TV is $109 right now. So you have to go on, if you click the Amazon link and just search for it, you'll find it. And then all the other stuff is on sale too. So the Rokus are on sale and the Fire TV is on sale. And I thought what I would do is kind of step through some of the strengths of each. And that reminds me, I just want to see what I have installed on this Fire TV stick. So I think I own games on the Fire TV platform here. So let me go through and just see what I've got for games. And then as the Amazon room fills up, I will start doing some stuff. So let's go to my apps. I'm just curious to see what apps I have already available to me. Yeah, so Shovel Knight I can put on here. I have that. Okay, so it's already installed, so that's already loaded up. And look, there's a Prime Day deals thing. Do you think we'll show up on here? Let's see. Oh, this is Prime Video deals. Let's see if we can find ourselves on the Amazon live stream here too. Let's take a look at that. So there's also Amazon Live has an app, so you can watch me on Amazon. Yeah, right here. So you can watch me on your Fire TV. Isn't that crazy? So you pull up Amazon Live, and look who we see. Not me. Hang on, let's scroll down a little bit. These are all the other things here. So I should be in the electronics section here. Let's see if I am. Here we are. I'm a little buried right now. I'll work my way up. Who else we got here going on? So these people were probably live longer than me. And this is like the official one. So they didn't sponsor me. I'm a free agent. But you can go here and watch me live. Isn't that cool? So this is like super meta. Super meta. But it's pretty cool. I think they've really got a great Fire TV app for Amazon Live if you're into that kind of thing. Oh, cool. Yeah, so I don't have all the stuff yet. I think it's coming in like later this week. So I'll send you an email when I have it going. And I think, where are you? Are you like in the Midwest somewhere? We should be able to reach each other on 10 meters. And I'm thinking like weak signal, right? Like do a JS8 call or something. That might be kind of fun. Or I could try to do a voice communication. I just don't know if my 10 meters can reach that far. And Matt Craig here is getting an Apple TV at some point, but doesn't seem to be on sale in the UK. Ooh, that reminds me. Let me see what else I have. I think I have Sonic the Hedgehog, like Sonic CD on here too. Let's take a look. So let me go to the App Store. One thing I have found with this is that it can get a bit busy on the Fire TV, the menu stuff. So I want to see which games I have already. App library, is that what I? Yes. So let's go to not installed, because I know I've got other stuff. Because years and years ago, I had bought the Fire TV stick, the original one. But I guess this doesn't have it on there. But we have games that we can demo. So we have Shovel Knight on there that we can demo. And then on the Apple TV, let's see what we have. Oops, on that one. I think my controller should be charged up by now. So I have Pac-Man. Oh, I have Sonic CD on there. Perfect. Okay. So I've got my Xbox controller paired with the Apple TV. And what I'm also going to do here is pair up my 8BitDo game controller. Michael Brunette is here from Wisconsin. Welcome. I've got the 8BitDo controller. I love this controller, as you all know. And I'm going to switch this into direct input. Actually, let's leave it in X input and see if the Fire TV can pick it up. So I'm going to go back to the Fire TV, which is S. And I'm going to put it into pairing mode here. So we'll hit the pairing button. And then we're going to go to my remote here. And, oh, we could try Luna on this too. And I'm going to go to the controllers and Bluetooth devices. And we're going to go to game controllers. And I have not paired this one yet. So I'm going to add a new controller. And there it is. And we'll pair it up. All right. We are good to go. And I am really pushing my system here. So I'm seeing like my usage levels here hitting 100% in some areas. So this is definitely challenging for my computer system. I think I've hit its limit. So if you see anything not working properly, let me know. But I'm like really churning up the CPU here. Let me just check and make sure that my hardware encoder is being used. Yeah, we're using the hardware encoder for both. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, so we're good there. Controllers are paired up, and we can look into this a little bit. Well, another thing he's suggesting is an Ozbot tail. Or I can get, you know what I should do is get my kids down here and put them to work and have them run the camera for me. That'd be kind of fun. Danny Ray says, these things are awesome for turning a monitor into one. Yes, exactly. And so one of the things that I always say to people when, like, why do you need one of these things? Is because a lot of times either you don't have a smart television or you've got a really dumb TV, right? So a lot of times your TV gets dumber as time goes on. Perfect example, the Apple TV here, I use on my television upstairs. I have an OLED TV that I bought in 2016, which is not all that old. But what happens on your television over time? They don't support it any longer with new stuff. So what's happened is my TV, like Apple TV, does not work very well on my OLED TV upstairs. You can install it, but it's not very good. So I bought the Apple TV to alleviate those issues. And Trent is in mid-Tennessee. All right, so you've had some QSOs over Connecticut. Well, that's great, on 10 meter. And were those voice QSOs, or were you doing data? And Juan Rivera, you know, this year has been good on Prime Day. I haven't bought anything myself. Well, I think I bought a softball glove for my kids because they're getting into softball, and I got to start practicing with them. But there is some good stuff. A lot of stuff I already had. And yeah, Luna's got free Prime games. We'll look at that. Hey, why don't we start? Let's start with the Fire Stick, and then because I already have it open here. So let's take a look. We'll do Luna first. Now, if you have a Prime account, and if you're doing Prime Day, you of course have that. And Luna, used to have a subscription, and still does, has a subscription plan, but there is a free tier. So Prime members play free, and they have usually like 4 different games, at least right now, 4 different games. But the other stuff, for example, if I wanted to play Control, that's going to require the subscription, right? But we can do a little, I'll show you Skatebird. And I just did a video on Luna, so if you're curious, check it out. And that video is on my YouTube channel, and it's also on Amazon, so you can watch it there too. So let's pull up, again, we're on the Fire Stick right now. And right now it is loading up the game. And let me get rid of, and press any button to get skating. I can resume. I was playing this earlier, so it actually retains your save games too. And right now we're on the Fire TV stick. Maybe I'll put that in my little title here so you know what I'm looking at. So let's go to title editor. I'm going to add one. And this is Okay, there we go. Demoing Fire TV Stick 4K. All right, and then we'll pull that up here. And this is Luna, so this is streaming from Amazon, but this is free with your Prime account. And there's going to be a little bit of input lag because this is running through my video system and then going out to this monitor, so this is not, like, don't judge the input lag based on this. But yeah, this is, this runs pretty nicely. And this is streaming over the internet. So that is why it looks so good, is because it's coming in over the internet. Oops, I got hung up on that thing right there. And I forgot the bit rate that this runs at, but it's pretty good. It's like pretty high. I think it's running at like 20 or 30 megabits per second. You know, it'll vary based on the quality of the connection. Now the Fire Stick that I'm using now, and this is important too, is this is the 4K Max stick, which has, I believe, has a Wi-Fi 6 radio on board. So it might do a little better than the regular 4K stick for Luna if that's something you wanted to play around with. So just bear that in mind. But it works pretty good. Now, the big difference here when we're looking at something like the Fire Stick is that if you were, let's say you look at the price of the Roku and the price of the Fire Stick has games, because that's what we're playing right now. The Roku does not. They used to have games on Roku, really basic ones. I think they might still be there. You play them with the remote, but you don't get this level of fidelity. And the reason is that the Fire TV, of course, is based on Android, and the Roku is its own operating system. So if you wanted to play games, whether it's Luna or one of the other streaming services, you just can't do it on the Roku. So you can't stream games on the Roku, which it probably is capable of doing. And you can't download games. And I'll show you a downloaded game in a second here also. But it works pretty good here. All right, let's take some questions. And, oh, Trent was doing FT8. Okay, yeah, I'll try some FT8 with you. I want to try some JS8 call, too. That one really fascinates me. All right, let me see. I am so far behind on questions here. So let's go to, and I don't know if any of my moderators are in, but if you don't mind taking care of my spammer in there, that'd be great. Okay, so Random wants to know what's better. I think it depends on what you want, and I'll show you. Let's take a look at both so you can get a good sense of that. So I'm going to exit the game here. So what's better? It's hard to say, because it's really going to vary based on what you want. I will say, and we'll compare the two right now, so let's get rid of the thing here. The interface on the Fire Stick is a little busier than the Roku. So this is the Fire Stick interface. As you can see, it mixes in, this is not bad because these are Prime movies that it thinks I'll like, which are part of my subscription, right? Got the top 10 here, you've got some recommendations, and then they get the freebie stuff. But you're also going to have these sponsored panels that show up on here too, right? If you go over to the Roku, you'll see that the interface is much different. There's still advertising in here. They put it on the side. But it's much more an app-centric kind of thing. So if I want to watch Apple TV, for example, I'm going to load the app up and then go into it from there. Whereas if we go back to the Fire TV interface, you can see it's all very much content-based. And so it's a very different approach. You can still get to your apps. So if I go home here, up on the top screen, I can configure what apps show up here front and center. So I can go over to Netflix and Prime Video and YouTube and everything. But once I scroll down, I'm now in the more content-based panel. Justin is asking, do I recommend the Fire TV Stick 4K Max over the regular 4K? I would say if you're playing games, definitely. And that includes game streaming because the Fire TV Stick Max has better Wi-Fi on board. The Fire TV Stick Max also has a little more performance than the regular one, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that is a consideration there. But if you're just playing media back, both should be fine. You might get a little boost on the Wi-Fi for 4K playback. But I would say for the most part, gaming is probably the reason to look at the Max over the regular 4K. Richard Moore wants to know, have I ever tried Chromecast with Google TV? Yes, in fact, I reviewed it, so you can check that out. It's just not on sale today, so I'm doing just the ones that are on sale on Amazon today, but I do like the Chrome one. And thank you, Travis, for taking care of the spammer for us. Very much appreciated. And Danny makes a good point here that the Fire does do a better job of content discovery, so that might be something that's important to you, right? Because I'm getting suggestions here that I can watch without, like right here, I can watch my UFO. Oh, Dark Sky? Really? Oh, okay. I thought this was a show from the 90s. But these are all movies that I can watch without paying for those because they're part of my Prime subscription. I'm getting a lot of UFO suggestions. This is sponsored. I don't think I have a Noggin subscription. And then, of course, you have all the live stuff that comes through on here, too. No, I don't think either one is bad. I think for Netflix and YouTube, both are going to be fine. I would say one's not better than the other. The only thing I would say is that if you go with the Fire Stick is that you can run apps and games, and there might be a little more that you can do with it. You know, if you are looking for something beyond the basics, you can install game emulators, for example, on the Fire Stick, and you can install sideload Android games if you wanted to on it also. So it's got a little more flexibility there. And yeah, the Apple TV is a great deal. We're going to take a look at mine in a second. That's exactly the one that I have. So I have the, because right now it's $109. I have the basic 32 gig model. This is the one I use upstairs. Bought that a little while back. And I am still a big fan of the Shield Pro. For home theater enthusiasts, there is nothing better. And Richard's wondering, is it storming by me? Yes, it will be. And it's going to because I just washed my car and I watered the garden tonight. So it looks like we're getting hit in about 30 minutes or so, I think. And Justin is leaning on the Max. Yeah, I think if you're doing any kind of gaming, the Max is probably where you want to go. And speaking of, why don't we look at another game on the Fire TV Stick Max. So this is Shovel Knight. So let's go load that up real quick. As you can see, I can store a lot of stuff on here. So let's do a little Shovel Knight. Now, this game is not streaming. This is running natively on here. And an interesting story about Shovel Knight, and I'll turn the sound up in a second. An interesting story about Shovel Knight is that this game Amazon commissioned as an Android port for the Fire TV, the second iteration, the second generation one. Let's see if I can get the audio up here. Oh, wrong one. Hang on. Oh, a little loud. Sorry. There we go. So this is actually running on the Fire TV Stick itself. And that's, again, one of the advantages of the Fire TV Stick, is that it can run games. And this one's a native game. You can run game emulators. And it runs pretty good. I'll give you the full screen here in a second. I'm just trying to remember how to play it. And I have a little bit of lag just because I'm running this whole thing through this elaborate system that I've set up for myself. But here's the look at it. Looks good. Now, I'm only streaming at 30 frames per second, so this is not going to be as smooth as it would be if I was a 60 frames per second streamer. But like I said, I've hit kind of the limit of my system here. Although it looks like the system's calming down now. And TB is wondering, are these games proprietary? To some degree. So if it's available, a lot of these are Android games because Fire TV is an Android platform. So a lot of the games are going to be on the Fire TV store, but this is not the same store as the Google Play Store. Oops. Ah. It's hard to play with this. This lag is not the fault of the system here. It's how I have this set up. But it runs great. Now, granted, this game is not taxing the system all that much, right? But it's still playable. And this is the kind of game that you can run. A lot of the casual titles run fine on here, you know, that sort of thing. And we'll go back home here. So I think if you were looking between the Roku and the Fire TV, you know, the gaming and the apps are areas where you're going to see a little more robustness out of this. And if you jump through the App Store here, you know, you're going to see a lot here. And if you go down to the game section, you know, so obviously the focus is going to be on, you know, a lot of the app stuff. But, you know, you poke through here, there's a bunch of games, even Tetris and a bunch of free-to-play stuff. Yeah, a lot of what you would see in the typically in the Android ecosystem, you'll see here. And TB says, "Hey, you know what? You can play your SNES games on the Fire Stick." And Mark A, so this game is a Dreamcast game, so you're gonna have to go and find an ISO. It's a whole big ordeal to get it, but it runs great. On the Fire Stick, I would probably go with RetroArch. I think that's probably the best one to use because that'll get you a whole bunch of stuff. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I have it loaded in here still from before. And if you can't find RetroArch on the Amazon store, which I don't think it's there, I'm pretty sure you can sideload it. Do I have it on here is the question. I thought I did. Maybe not. I think it was on something else. And by the way, if you wanted to move something up, so for example, I could take, I can move Disney here. I can just hold down the remote and kind of move it down here, and then I can grab something else and stick it up there. So if I hit this, I can move that up. Jack has a good question. Any reason to buy the Luna controller over the Microsoft Xbox? And the reason why you might want a Luna controller is that it connects to the service directly, so it doesn't go through the Bluetooth, and you get a little less input lag that way. So if there's less Luna lag, if you will, when you're doing it that way. In the Amazon chat, Sammy Chapman wants to know, do they have a Twitch app? I believe they do, because Amazon owns Twitch. Why don't we do a search for Twitch? If they don't, I would be shocked. But these days, so if we go over to Twitch, yep, there it is. And I can install that. And again, this is on the Fire TV stick. So Mark A, back to your question. So you need to get that Dreamcast emulator that we were playing with, which I remembered the name of. What's it called? It is called Redream. And then you got to hunt down the Propeller Arena GDI file. And just do a search for that, Propeller Arena, and you will find your way to it. So there you go. Now on the Roku side, let me switch over to Roku here. And if you have questions, definitely leave them in the chat. And got some new followers here, including my friend Ribeye is joining us once again. And this is the Roku 4K stick. All right, so we're going to switch over to the Roku real quick. And I hit my, oops, D key. There we go. Oh, that's the Apple TV. Where did my Roku go? Did my Roku drop off? Oh, I got confused. You know why? Because I was in the Apple TV app on the Roku. That's what confused me. All right, so on the Roku, it's pretty simple. And like I said, there's no games on it, so I can't show you a lot because I'll get hit with a copyright claim. One of the things that I like about the Roku, and you'll find this also on the Amazon platform, is it does have a much simpler interface, and they have a whole free section. So you jump into featured free, and everything you see here on a bunch of different services is all free, including a lot of the things you might get on Freevee, because I think Freevee is available on here too. And Roku's been really getting aggressive with their own programming. And all these free things are advertiser supported. And back on the Fire Stick, they have a free section also. So if you go over to Find, you'll see that on there too. So on the Fire Stick, it's in a section called Free. And here you've got recommendations for content and then a bunch of free apps that you can download. So they're both really free, focused a lot on the free stuff, which is good because a lot of people buy these things because they're getting rid of cable and still want things to watch. And I forgot to add a demoing Roku 4K stick. Okay, there we go. I had neglected to add a thing to my title to make this easier. Let's take a few more questions here. And oh yeah, we have it Amazon. So if you click on the link in the video description, that will take you right over to my Amazon stream. So that all the links are in there. Can you run emulators on the Shield? Absolutely. It's got the highest horsepower of any of these boxes. Although the Apple TV is more powerful than the Shield now, but the Apple TV is a closed ecosystem. HQ Macro wants to know: is it any better? Not really. I mean, what's going to happen to your TV eventually is that Sony's going to stop updating it, and that's when you transition over to one of these things. But for the most part, if you're just watching TV, this is going to have all the same stuff. And so you see that all the apps that are on the Fire TV are here, right? Like it's all part of the same ecosystem. And the Shield is running Android. Is it best for a Luna controller or an Xbox? I would say if you can get the Luna controller and you plan to do a lot of Luna, then I would get the Luna controller. But the advantage of the Xbox controller is that it works with everything. So this controller works with the Fire TV, the Apple TV, and it works with the Xbox, and it works with the PC, whereas the Luna controller might be a little more limiting, right? So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But if you're doing a lot of Luna, I would go that route. Bruce Johnston is here. Welcome. And Danny's right. You can do just about anything on the Shield. It's a really great platform. How do we watch HD Home Run on the Roku? I will show you. So they do have, and I think they just updated the app recently, because a viewer wrote in to tell me that they had resolved a lot of their issues with it. Let me see if it's been updated. Let me go look at that real quick. So I'm going to go jump into my settings real quick and just make sure. I think actually I have a button that updates all my apps here. Let me go back to that. There's this weird app that I installed years ago that gets you to, it updates everything. I don't know if I still, yeah, update all my channels. And that's the other thing is that Roku calls, oops, let's go back to the, Roku calls their apps channels, but they're all basic. They all just play video. And HD Home Run is a sponsor on the channel in full disclosure, and this does live TV, and there's a DVR component. And I've done a bunch of content on this, so you can kind of see how it works. So I'm going to go switch. Let's see how well it does. I'll switch up to my, it's going to take a while to get there. I just want to run over to my local cable access, something I could show legally. I like to do this, NECN will probably work. So this is like live TV, and this works on both platforms. And it doesn't seem to be working right now. So, yeah, the HD Home Run app struggles on Roku because of its software limitations. But I guess they had worked out some issues with it. But I think if you are doing live TV with a tuner, the other devices we're looking at will probably do better than that. And yeah, YouTube is going to be behind a little bit, primarily because I'm streaming at 4K. And I can't stream at 4K unless I put in the 30-second delay. So that's why it does that. Otherwise, it resolves itself to 1440p. Matthew Heath is here. Hello there. Thank you for saying hello. And TB says the Roku is so much. Yeah, and that's what it is. It comes down to personal preference, too. I mean, again, I think the big difference here, let me pull off my graphics so I don't confuse people. I think the big difference between the Roku and the Amazon device really comes down to interface. So, they both do the same things. On the Fire TV, again, the interface is a little busier. It's more content-centric, although when they updated the operating system recently, they did add this app shelf, which I think helped a lot to make this a little more logical. So that did make a big difference. And what I want to do now is demo the Apple TV, because I think the Apple TV is really awesome. So let's do that real quick. And let me add that to the mix. All right, so let's go back to the Apple TV. First of all, on the Apple TV, you get these awesome screensavers. They do like these high-speed videos that they slow down of these different cityscapes. What city is this? I'm not sure if I recognize the city. And then we're out here. So now, once again, very much an app-focused look here. But here's what I like about the Apple TV. A couple things. First of all, it is a lot more expensive than the other two. So you could buy a whole house full of Fire TVs and Rokus for what one of these costs on sale, just to give you some perspective. But there's a lot of depth to this product. Now, if you are an Apple user, like I am, so I have an iPhone, it does a really fun thing of integrating with your iCloud photo library. So you see here, like front and center, because I put the Photos app here, and because I did that, like when I turn it on, I just see old pictures of family stuff, and I love that. And if I jump in here, it does these fun videos. My daughter took that picture from her perspective. It's kind of funny. But it does these fun videos of all sorts of cool stuff. So this is the Independence Day one that it made. And then I think it'll play a video here. Let's see. Let me hit the play button. Looks like it's just doing a slideshow. But usually, like it sets it to music, and it does like a whole little thing. Let me see if there it goes. Yeah, now it's doing it. Isn't this cool? And this is from my phone. So all the photos that I've synced up on my phone get integrated here, and then it creates these awesome little slideshows. And I can't tell you how often, like when I turn on my Apple TV, like I'm watching this stuff. And it plays it with music, and it integrates your videos with it also. If you have the live photos set up on your phone, it'll do that. So the other night we went to the carnival, and here's that. So it's going to give us a. Isn't that fun? It's so cool. So like I just like that. It just does it for you. And my kids love it because they come onto the TV and like, hey, there's pictures of family stuff that we did. That's my oldest daughter is the daredevil of the family. The little one is more like me. But you see how it integrates the video with it too? I just think that's awesome. And it plays music also, but a lot of times it's copyrighted music, so I'm not gonna go there. Let me see a few others here. And here's some from New York City. So I took the kids to Manhattan a few months ago. That was fun. And again, it just generates these things and plays them for you. I just think that's totally awesome. It does take it sometimes a little bit of a minute or two for it to compile it. This is when I picked up my Google Glass. This is like from 10 years ago. Remember that, Google Glass? And because the Apple photos are location-based, you know, it builds these slideshows based on that data. This was when I went to the YouTube space, which sadly has been closed down. It was a Motorola event that I went to. Oh, that's my wife and when we were taking a trip together. I went to the New York Stock Exchange. Don't I looked the part, right? And this was a store that sold puppies. How much is that doggy in the window? And so again, it integrates video and all sorts of stuff. It's cool. So there's that. The big advantage, I would say, first of all, for me, like that's an awesome advantage because you have, and then when you go into the Photos app, it's not just stuff that you've done. You have, you know, access to your albums, so like your entire photo library comes with you. So you've got all that, and then it like compiles things from your past and like your kids growing up and all sorts of neat stuff. So it's a lot of fun, and you got your full library. So like whatever you can do on your phone with photos, it does it there. I've got so many comments I'm missing here, so I apologize for that. Let me take a look and see. Connor is here. Darren is here. Hello there. Yeah, Bruce is right. So we've been having some issues with YouTube crashing at the 55-minute mark, so we've got about another 10 minutes before it will dump you all. But you'll stay on. It'll be fine. And yeah, you know what, Travis? We'll look at Plex because I think Plex does run really well on the Roku. And yep, you can link, if you have a Plex Pass account, you can use your HD home run with Plex. And Mr. B says, I noticed when watching recorded TV shows using Plex with a Roku, when fast forwarding and reversing, it has to reload the screen each time. Right, yeah, the Android-based devices do a little better with a lot of that kind of stuff, for sure. And Juan was a little sad. Yeah, I mean, we're getting close to the end. I think we still have a little more life left in Cable Card, but its end is near. So it is happening, unfortunately. I'm going to do a follow-up on that video later this week. I might shoot it tomorrow. Did they ever add HDMI audio pass-through? Not on the Apple TV. It is still doing the PCM conversion thing. And Jason bought the Roku TV because it has the Xfinity app on it. Yeah, I think that app now is showing up on a bunch of other stuff because I see it on, I think it's on the Apple TV too. Am I right? Maybe not. Let's see. Let's look for it. Let's do a search for Xfinity. Yep, Xfinity Stream is right here. Yeah, I thought they've been moving this to a bunch of different platforms, so it looks like they're making their way over to this. There's a great app, which I'm going to be talking about later this week, called the Channels app. And I don't know if I have my, yeah, I got to do this whole QR code thing. I'll deal with that later. But the app, Comcast is getting better. They're moving it over to more platforms. Now, the big thing on the Apple TV is that it plays games. And the games are not quite where I would like them to be given the cost of the unit. So they have this Apple Arcade thing, which is I think where a lot of the development is happening right now. And this is a $5 a month subscription plan. I got it for free for a year with my cell phone and I forgot to cancel it. So now I'm paying for it and I keep forgetting to cancel the darn thing. But my loss here is your gain because we can take a look and see what games are available. But they're all like just these mobile games. Like there's not a lot of in-depth kind of things. It looks like there's like a fun Star Trek game, but it's kind of more of this is a role-playing kind of thing. Here, let's see what I have installed, and then we'll download one. Because I thought I had more installed. Here, let's install the Lego game real quick, and then because this one is like the closest I can get. Maybe Oceanhorn 2 to a degree. Let's do Oceanhorn 2, because that one's kind of the closest to a console game you'll find. And I have my Xbox controller paired up with the Apple TV right now. And yes, Oregon Trail is on the Apple TV. So you can play it on your Apple IIe and on that. And Travis Rhodes says, I think YouTube and Hulu have the best. Yeah, they're probably the only two in the game at this point, right? I think DirecTV is, or yeah, you have Sling also. Here's what I have discovered, because I'm doing some research, because I had a lot of advice on ways to augment the loss of my television thing, my cable card. And in researching this, if I were to cancel the TV portion of my cable, I would be paying the same as I do with the internet and the TV. I don't know what I got, but I've got some great package that integrates, because I have the Gigabit Pro fiber optic connection. That's why I can stream to you at 4K. So I have the Gigabit Pro internet, and the way they packaged it, the TV is basically the same price with it than it is without it. So it's not like I'm paying anything more based on the published price of Gigabit Pro. And that's unique to me. So the only thing I would save is this broadcast TV fee for my over-the-air television. But if I were to cancel the TV and switch to something else, I would be paying more. Because I'd have to get the HBO subscription, and I would have to go get some other stuff. It's very complicated. This is why they make it complicated, because they don't want anyone switching to anything else. They just want you to just keep paying the bill and not paying attention to it, which is why I'm still paying for Apple Arcade. Darren loves his NVIDIA Shield, as do I. I still have a bunch of them in the house. I have one upstairs. That's my go-to upstairs for the most part. And Juan has Sling and says it's not good, it's just cheap and you feel it. Interesting. And another interesting point is that Comcast is offering competing television services through their billing system. So you can actually subscribe, I think it's Sling. You can subscribe to Sling through Comcast. Comcast wants out of the TV business completely. They just want to sell you the dumb pipe, right? And Pete says, Symphony of the Night is an excellent port with controller support. Is that on Apple TV? Let's see if I can find it. It might be on one of the other platforms. Let's look and see. It might be an app that you have to purchase, right? So right now I'm in the Apple Arcade thing here. Let's see if it's here. Oh, another neat thing. I just got a notification on my phone. So if your phone is out, it'll prompt you and you can just start typing. Isn't that cool? So this is not on the free stuff, so maybe it's on the App Store. So let's go over to the App Store. Now, while this is downloading, I will also add with the Apple TV, another thing that I like about it, is that if you bought a game on your phone, the game will, and there's a TV version of it, you get the TV version. So let's go to the App Store. Oops, Disney Plus, wrong one. So if I go to the App Store and I go to Purchased, and I say not on this TV, you can see the apps that I bought that I can install on this. Let me see if, I have nothing to hide here, but I just don't know what my kids have been downloading inadvertently here. I'm just trying to see if there's anything really, yeah, so Oceanhorn 1, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, these are all games that I purchased at some point, or some of them are free games, right? But these are the phone versions of these games that are playable on the Apple TV. And then any other iOS game that has a port will be here too. So Donut County, that's a fun game, sort of. And channels, actually, I'm going to download this because I'm going to be doing something with this soon. This is kind of fun. This is a Sienna link, and this allows you to receive NDI video over your network. So I can actually pipe video out of my production system. Isn't that cool? Does Apple TV have the Spectrum app? Let's take a look and see. I'm pretty sure it does. I think all of these companies are trying to get you over to this. Yep, Spectrum TV is in there. Wow. That's a great deal. $7 at Goodwill. That's a steal and a half right there. Good, congratulations on that. The Apple TV is a great Steam Link device, up to 8K streaming. Oh, very cool. Yeah, I haven't done too much game streaming with my Apple TV, but I probably should try it. And yeah, the Google Chromecast, I reviewed that. That's a great streaming device. And here's another question about the 4K Fire TV versus the Max. If you're on a 1080p TV, I don't think there's much of a difference there. The only thing that the Max provides better performance on is gaming and networking. So the Max has a Wi-Fi 6 radio and a slightly faster processor. So if you're playing games, and especially streaming games, the Max is probably the better one if you have a Wi-Fi 6 network. Otherwise, you're fine with the 4K one. Let's see. Yes, that's another factor. Little technical thing, but the Apple TV handles frame rate switching better than anything else. Anything else, including the NVIDIA Shield, this does better on. So this will switch to 24p properly if you're watching a movie. And that's a big feather in its cap. Although I do a lot of 24p content with Plex, which does do the switching automatically, but very few Android TV apps do it properly beyond Plex. BB Garnett is another big fan of the HD Home Run. Yeah, I've been running mine for almost 10 years now. It's great. And I'm going to keep using it until they get rid of it. Pete, I forgot what you were referring to, but you're on your iPhone. Sorry about that. I didn't get your first chat. Kyle loves his YouTube TV. And it looks like another knock on Sling there, that it skips around too much. That's not good. Oh, this is what I was looking for. So what do I think of the Fire TV Cube? So the Cube is good. The Cube is the best performing Android box or Amazon box. The Cube is not as fast as the Apple TV though. So just be aware of that. But the Cube is faster for gaming. The Cube also works exceptionally well as a universal control device. And the Fire TV Stick 4K and the 4K Max do this also. But the Cube, I think, does IR blasting, which the other ones don't. But what's amazing is that you can walk up to these Amazon devices and say, hey, your trigger word, turn on the Xbox. And what it will do is you can set it, and it's not that hard to do. And in fact, I can show you this on the Fire TV Stick. Let me pull this up real quick. So let's go back to the Fire TV Stick, because that's a big thing. All right, so let's pull up our Fire TV Stick here. And they have a section in the settings called Equipment Control. And this is like the unsung hero of the Fire TV thing. And you go to Manage Equipment, and you tell it everything you have and what's plugged into what. So for example, I can add equipment. Let's just try to do an Xbox, for example, just to kind of demo this. And I don't have the Xbox connected, but what you would do is you would basically, yeah, so what input do you use? And what's it plugged into? So if, let's say you had your Xbox plugged into your stereo receiver like I do upstairs, what it will do when it is plugged in is it will turn on the television, it'll turn on the receiver, it'll switch the receiver to the right input, and your Xbox will appear with a voice command. And I think that's awesome. So you don't even have to use the remote to turn things on. And for people that, so for many years, for example, I was technical support for my wife's grandmother, who, bless her, bless her memory, she was, I think, in her 90s when she passed away. But I would get calls from her about, hey, the TV's not working right, because she had to push remote buttons or whatever. This wasn't available while she was still with us, but I would have done this in a heartbeat, because I could have had her walk up to the remote and just tell the remote what she wanted to do, watch TV or play a DVD, and it will switch everything automatically. It works over HDMI CEC on the sticks, but on the Cube, it will do IR blasting. And I think you can buy the IR blaster separate. Let's see here. So that's what I think about the Fire Cube. Have I ever looked at an Android DIY? I haven't, primarily because there's so many good ones that just work, right? So those are the ones that I did for that. And you do the ad-free, I do the same thing. A bulk of what I watch is YouTube, and I am with you right there. The YouTube Premium experience is awesome. It is so much better than not paying for premium, especially if you watch a lot of YouTube. And you get a free Chrome television, Google Chromecast with Sling now, it looks like. And David's got 4 Apple TVs, so you have 2 more than I do. I have 2 of them. I have this new one, so this is the current one, the one that's available now for $109. This is a great deal today. So if you are in the market for an Apple TV, this is the day to get one, because it's over on Amazon. Click the link, you'll find it on Amazon. Good night, TB. Have a great dinner. And I do not know how to pronounce your name, but because I cannot read, I think that's Chinese, but you can correct me. You watch my channel a lot. I buy a lot of TV boxes. Favorite is the Apple TV, Google TV, and the Fire TV. And the Apple TV's Wi-Fi 6 is much faster than the Fire. I would believe that, because they probably put the same Wi-Fi radios on here as they do on the Fire Stick. And I got some new followers on Amazon. I want to thank Karen Mason and Sam Kohler and an anonymous Amazon customer. Thanks for the follow. Yeah, so here's what's funny about the Apple TV. Let me pull that back up for you, because you are correct. But, and which I think the Roku just dropped out, but that's okay. Let me go back to the Apple TV here and just show you one thing, though, is that there is no ad here, but that's because I made it so there's no ad. So, for example, if I had this resting over, because they have some stuff you can't get rid of either. Maybe I got rid of it. Like the Apple exercise thing is usually front. Yeah, here it is. So if you leave it on one of these apps that has ads, you're going to see ads. But it's always advertising something for Apple. So in this case, they want me to subscribe to the, to the Apple Health thing that they do. And then if you go over Apple TV, for example, let me move it up. It's only what's on this top bar. But when you first get it, the default is that this stuff, this Apple stuff, to try to get you into their services will be kind of up front and center. So typically, if I'm not mistaken, the default position for Apple TV is right here. So when you first get your Apple TV, it's going to have this up. And it will play, these trailers. So what I did to alleviate that was I moved my photos into the first position. So now all I see when I boot it up are my kids and nothing else. I'll move YouTube over. And I don't think YouTube is currently programmed to offer anything in this space. So I'm guessing Apple has some deal that if you want stuff to appear here. So let me move Netflix up and see if Netflix does it. I'll stick it up in this position here. Let's see. Yeah, so Netflix pulls up what I previously watched. I haven't watched Cowboy Bebop. I watched like 2 or 3 episodes. I couldn't get into it. But I can always get into Star Trek: The Next Generation. It looks like it changes every time I roll over it. Pretty neat. Do I know of a good replacement remote? Yes. You can buy the remote separately on Amazon now, unless you don't like the remote. So I did actually buy one. It was over here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so I was able to buy this on its own. And I bought this to use with my old one, actually, because my old one's remote died. So I bought it for that. Hey, it's the second time somebody said I was the man tonight, but you are the man. Thank you very much for the kind words. Much appreciated. All right, let's keep going through some questions here. So Matthew switched over to the Apple TV. And Richard cut out before the 55. It looks like we survived the 55 minutes today. It actually survived twice, so maybe they're fixing the problem. And Aaron Johnson is on YouTube TV. It's okay. The problem I have with it is that it doesn't have channels at Comcast. Yes, it's hard to get a good one-to-one, isn't it? And Symphony of the Night, okay, so it's on the App Store. Okay, I'll take a look and see if I can. All right, so let's go back to the Apple TV because our game has downloaded. And this is not a game stream. This is a game running natively on the Apple TV that was part of the Apple Arcade subscription. But these console-like titles are few and far between. And this is the big struggle, is that Apple has a robust, I won't say it's robust, Apple has an extensive games library. It does sync your game up between devices, by the way. So if I load this up on my iPad, it's going to be right where I left off here. But the console titles are just not there. So you're not going to see like a PlayStation or Xbox equivalent here. And Richard's wondering, am I going to buy anything for Prime Day? I probably will get some. So I am going to get a baseball glove because I can't find mine. And I am going to get some practice balls. My girls are getting into softball. They're taking some interest in it. So we're going to get Daddy a glove so I can throw the ball back and forth with them. My girls have been mostly independent athletes, but my oldest is doing a little softball clinic over the summer and really is getting into it. So we might do some of that. My big one does karate and swimming right now. So, I mean, it's a real graphical powerhouse. And you think about what Apple has in their repertoire as far as the M1 processor is concerned and the M2 now. You know, they have the potential to do some amazing gaming, but the problem is that the games, you know, the hardware is there. This is, you know, the Apple iPhones are more powerful than the Switch, for example. But the games library, those in-depth games, like, you know, aren't there. Although No Man's Sky is coming to the iPhone, right, or the iPad, and I would bet you that No Man's Sky is going to run on the Apple TV also, I think. So I am pretty sure we'll see, and you know, and what's crazy is that Apple could totally afford to build up its games library because they've got a lot of these Apple TVs sold. The iPad M1 is crazy. Like the iPad Air M1, what a deal that thing is from a power perspective. It's every bit as powerful as the Mac with the same chip. I mean, there's no difference in performance, especially for graphics stuff. But you know, as far as gaming is concerned, the potential on the Apple TV is immense. But unlike the Fire TV and the Shield and all these other things, you can't install your own stuff on it because they lock the App Store down. So there's no side loading really that you can do that easily. So it's not easy for a consumer to just load up, you know, RetroArch or some emulator or something on it. So that's kind of the big difference there. Oh yeah, so you can also look at your doorbell. And actually, I have a Wise doorbell. Here, let me pop out of here. I think I have it all linked up. So here, let me go back to, yeah, let's get out of this. I think this is the button that gets us out of here. Oops. Yeah, okay, so let me go back to the Fire Stick. We're coming back to the Fire Stick a lot, aren't we? And this is what's neat about it. All right, so now what it will do if you have a Ring doorbell, if I'm not mistaken, when the doorbell rings, it actually puts the video up on screen if you have the Max. But I could ask it stuff also. So let's try this. Show me the doorbell camera. I think I totally messed up that request. There may not be one. Let's try this again. Show me the front door camera.
Front door. Please give them unique names. Then run discovery again. Or create a group if you want to control them simultaneously.
I'll do my garage camera. Show me the garage camera.
Okay.
There, I figured one of them would work. So I have a Wise system hooked up. And it's supposed to be showing me that. There it goes. So my doorbell is called front door. So I think I can get the front door if I ask it the right question. And so I have Wise cameras out front, and then I've got a Blink camera out back. And Reese Edwards is here. Hello there. Good to see you. Yeah, so here you go. You got my, and you can minimize that to a picture-in-picture. So I have the Max here, so I can actually leave it up. Isn't that cool? Dismiss picture-in-picture.
Okay.
All right, so why don't we try this? Maybe we can have it. Let me turn down that volume a little bit more.
This was a targeted attack on Alpha.
Which one is that coming through? It's on the U40 NDI, so it's on the Spark. Okay, so let's go to Spark and turn it down a little bit more. So let's try the front door camera. Show me the front door camera.
I found more than one device with the name front door. Please give them unique names. Then run discovery again.
Okay, so
Or create a group if you want to control them simultaneously.
I had two called the same thing. All right, let's try this. Show me the studio camera.
Okay. I couldn't find a device or group named Studio in Lon's profile.
Hang on, let me see what so you have to make sure you know what you're asking for. Studio outdoor. Show me the studio outdoor camera.
Okay.
And this is a Blink camera. So this is part of the Amazon ecosystem. So this one might work a little better. So Matthew has a good perspective here. I don't know if Grayson Petty is joining us because he's a viewer who also has a visual impairment. And he was telling me, I don't know if he's not an Apple person, so I'd love to hear his perspective on this. But Matthew says that the Apple voiceover function is a lot easier for him to use. So from an accessibility standpoint, there might be some reasons to look at the Apple TV also. Jesse wants to know, I can tell you what my next big purchase is going to be because I just made one. I just bought a whole bunch of ham radio equipment. So I bought my base station, my 2 antennas. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. This is my backyard right now. It doesn't look like it's raining yet, so that's good. Is there anything new with the HD Home Run Prime? Nothing much. No, it's still working just as well as it's been until the cable card thing goes away. Matthew was wondering if I ever thought about doing reviews for people that are blind. You know, I've been thinking about it. You know, the problem is I don't have a good enough perspective on what people with visual impairments might need. And I think I need to learn more about that before I would be able to speak knowledgeably on that subject. But I think I might talk with you and Grayson. Maybe if there's a need out there, I can maybe help with that or maybe help somebody else get started with that kind of product review. And David has, yeah, I used to use the How-Page tuners. Back in the old analog cable days, I built my own multi-source DVR, which was pretty cool. Is it still worth buying an M1 Mac in 2022? I would say so. I would buy an M1 Mac over an Intel one. That's for sure. Jason wants to know, did I get a base station that I can control with my computer? Yes, and I'll talk about that because that's Trent's question too. So I bought I think I told you which one I was getting, Trent. I got the Yasu 991A. And I went with that one for a couple of reasons. One is that it is a dual, well, a tri-band. It does UHF, VHF, and HF. So I can cover everything in one unit. It has an antenna tuner built in. I'm not sure how robust the antenna tuner is. But it kind of does everything I want it to do. And it connects to the computer over USB. So I can do all of my low signal stuff with it too. So I am really excited about it. For antennas, I got, and I know I'm going to be buying other ones, but I found this guy who on his blog posted about dipole antennas for 10 meter HF. So I bought two MFJ 1610T whip antennas and a dipole center section for the two of them. And so I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to get something that can cover more bandwidth. But I wanted something simple that I could just attach to something as opposed to running, because I'm going to take it out and put it back in, so I kind of want to go with that. So we'll see how it operates. But this guy was telling, from his post said the dipole thing worked. But yeah, I'm really excited about the rig. I'm super excited. And I know that I can, if I have enough power, I can reach my local WinLink server very easily. I can hit my, and I'm looking at maybe setting up a DigiP. I got a lot of stuff I want to do, so it's going to be fun. And I used to use Windows Media Center as a DVR. In fact, my first foray, when I first got started with the HD Home Run, I had to buy an extra Xbox to use as a Media Center extender. And then I bought a Ceton media extender also. But it got a lot easier when I switched out. And yeah, that RTL SDR got me got me into it. It's so cool. I just think it's, what's neat about the amateur radio, I know we're off topic now, but I don't care. What's neat about amateur radio is that it's not just one thing. It's like a lot of things. And if you're into data and computers, there's a lot for you there. If you're into communicating and talking to people, there's a lot. It's a very diverse hobby, and it's constantly changing. And there's trends, So packet radio, for example, there's one packet radio BBS in my area. There was a time when there was a lot more than that. That was the trend back when it was big. So, and then there's FM satellites that you can hit. So I did a video about how I was able to communicate through the space station without a lot of knowledge and equipment. It was really kind of fun just to, poke around with it and figure it out. So there's other FM satellites I want to communicate with. I want to try doing some packet through satellites too. So there's a lot that I want to explore in that area. So yeah, lots of fun stuff. Jesse wants to know if I ever tried watching YouTube videos. No, they are not capable. And actually, only one of these is a Mac, because this is a Mac SE30, but this is an Apple 2GS, and this is my 2GS from when I was a youngster. And Trent was also on the Windows Media Center bandwagon. Yeah, so I, for many years, ran HD Home Run off of a laptop. I had a laptop that I kept in that room, and then eventually I switched over to a NAS and the HD Home Run software. And now I kind of run a mix of HD Home Run and Plex. Oh, wow, look at this. Matt Buckmaster actually helped design the Windows Media Center UI. It was the only, yeah, it's very true. It was the only part of Vista that anyone actually liked. That's great. Well, yeah, I think a lot of people appreciated your work on that. And Jason said I could have my own satellite base station using a small ESP30. Don't get me started here. All right, I'm going to look into that. Yeah, so that was part of what triggered the interest in radio, was that video on retro recipes. So what he did with a Commodore 64 was communicate through the space station. So the space station has a couple of modes that they can operate in. They have a packet repeater up there, so you send a packet up and then it receives it and sends it back down. Or it works as a radio repeater where you communicate with voice and those signals get repeated back down to the ground. And they typically leave it in the repeater mode and not in the packet repeater mode, unfortunately. Do I know when the NVIDIA? I don't. I would say they probably will at some point, but I think they might wait until it until Google makes it available to everybody. I'm sure there's probably some fee that they want them to pay. Lawn Dog is here. Hello there. Yeah, so we were just wrapping up here. I think I'm going to call it a night. So I hear my dog running around upstairs. But yeah, I just wanted to do a little Prime Day stream of some of the many options you have for TV boxes. So the bottom line is, I would say, if we're looking at Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV, the most flexible one of these three for the techies is probably the Fire TV. If you are someone looking for simplicity, the Roku is the way to go, but you can't play any games. And I think if you're really into the Apple ecosystem, the Apple TV is well suited for that, especially if you want to play some of those Apple Arcade games, for sure. And I have not seen the show Frequency, but I should check it out. Is that the show where like dead people communicate through the radio or something? I think that was what it was. Yeah, and that's actually what I kind of like about ham radio, because I really do enjoy, it isn't always fun troubleshooting, but when I was a kid, things didn't work as well as they do now. So for example, when I built this computer to do live streaming, it just worked. When I installed Windows, installed vMix, and hooked everything up, it just worked. That Apple IIgs back there, nothing ever worked right on that darn thing. And you would spend hours like tweaking and trying to figure out, and a lot of times it was like doing things in a certain order or getting, or working within very restrictive memory and storage that it had. So at the time, I only had a floppy drive and a megabyte of RAM, right? So balancing all that stuff out. So ham radio is a lot like that in that it takes a lot. You're working with a lot of limitations and trying to figure out how to get it all to work. So it's good stuff. I appreciate you, Jason. Thank you for watching. I'm glad that my work is helping. So, and yeah, it's hard to change. You're right. It's a nice platform, and I don't think Apple's yet cracked it. Like it feels very mature because Apple TV now has been around since 2007, 2008. But I think it's at a really strong point right now. But when you look at the cost, what does the Apple TV get you? Like great photo access, great integration with your phones if you have it, awesome gaming, but not a lot of great games, right? It's a lot of just mobile games that you find on the phone. So, you can get 5 of these for 1 of these. So it's hard to, you have to really have a need for it. Yes, the Apple II blew its, so I figured out what happened. It blew its REFA cap. There's a capacitor that exploded on it. And I haven't replaced it yet, but I will at some point. Look at this one. That's not cool. So this is one of the Apple TV screensavers. Isn't that neat? And you get all these cool things. Like that's the screensaver. It's awesome. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so we looked at we looked at most of them. Let's see, which one is off? I think it's the Roku that turned off. So let me power it back on. There we go. So we looked at all 3, and we can actually look at all 3 simultaneously. Isn't that cool? And yeah, it's a matter of preference, I think, to find what works best for you. Oh, that's kind of neat. I didn't hear about that. That's kind of cool. Yeah, it's all sorts of neat stuff that happens in the radio world. And a lot of satellites have a amateur radio transceiver on them. And you know what? I don't think that's silly. I think that's one of the reasons, because like I did a video on this that I could disable the ads essentially on the Apple TV just by moving things around, right? So when my Apple TV comes up, I see pictures of my family and no ads. I kind of like that. And Roku's not bad. So on the Roku side, you will get your ads on the right-hand side of the screen, but they're not all that intrusive. And then on the Fire TV, you're getting more stuff thrown at you. Although I will say they adding the app shelf here did make a difference, because that did, find a good balance between app-centric stuff and and recommendations. And of course, they also have another app shelf here. And then you've got all this other stuff in the middle. Mr. Nerd Nub on Amazon is wondering, if you were choosing just one, would it be the Fire? Ooh, that's a tough question. I would say if I was choosing just one, for me, I would choose the Apple TV if I had to choose just one. And that's because I've got a nice, OLED TV upstairs. I've got a lot of stuff that I use on the iPhoto, what do they call it? iCloud photos or whatever it is. So I have everything synced up, so I would do that. The other reason is that I also am a real snob when it comes to frame rate. And the only box that, and this even includes the NVIDIA Shield, which I love, the only box that appropriately puts my TV into the right mode every time across all these different services is the Apple TV. And for me, that's a big reason that I like the Apple TV the best out of those three. We didn't do Google TV because it's not on sale today. So we're just covering stuff on Amazon for Prime Day. But if I had to put an Android box here, I would put the NVIDIA Shield. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think Amazon has. Really, no one else does that as well, which is the universal control. And I think that's a really strong feature of the Fire TV line. Mr. Nerdnum wants to know, how does the Hisense OLED stack up to the bigger brands? So I have zero experience with the Hisense LED. A lot of times the panels are all made in the same factory. So I just don't know where their panel comes from. But it's likely that it might have an LG panel on it, because there's not that many people actually making the panels. But I don't have any experience with it, so I can't make a recommendation. But my experience in the past has been you get what you pay for. I have an LG OLED that I bought in 2016, and it's still working great. Every time I turn that TV on, I love it. Charles wants to know, what's the circle that I have the Fire TV plugged into? So this is an NDI capture device. This is the U40. I have to review this soon. And this is a neat little thing. So you can capture video by plugging in a capture card on your computer, right? Or you can capture over NDI, which is a network protocol. And what's cool about this thing, this is the U40 from, who makes this? This is from KilaView. This is powered by the Ethernet cable that's connected to it. So it uses PoE, and you just plug your device into the HDMI. And it puts it on the network, and then it just gets sucked into vMix. And then the Fire TV, you just can't see it, it's off screen right now, but the Fire TV I have plugged into a SparkBox, which does a similar thing. And I've been using the SparkBox for a long time. And again, just grabs video and puts it out. And both of these support 4K 60 over the network, but it uses a lot of bandwidth. So, for example, right now, my Ethernet card, it was consuming a lot more of the network. I don't know what happened. I was pulling in about over the network, probably because there's not a lot of movement on screen. It was pulling about 500 megabits on the downstream for just these two devices. So 4K video, when you have motion on screen, consumes a ton of bandwidth in NDI. Because NDI is largely uncompressed, at least for these two boxes. So it's a ton of bandwidth. But I have a 10 gig card. And so if you route these through different switches or a 10 gig switch, you have plenty of bandwidth to play with. But you have to really think about your network to get the best performance. So is there an Apple TV stick? I don't think it came out yet. Here's what I would say. So do I have a C or a B? I have an older LG set. And what I have found is that the apps are getting slower and slower, and Apple TV's app, for example, is terrible on the OLED TV. So that's why I use the Apple TV and the NVIDIA Shield up there. I also do a lot with Plex, and Plex runs the best on an NVIDIA Shield TV. So that's what I use for that. But to your question, so I would say if you're if you're finding apps that are not on your television, then yes, you need to get one of these things. If you are not satisfied with the way the apps are running on your TV, then you need to get one of these things. And I think for every smart TV, what you'll discover over time is that you will discover that you'll be kind of migrating over eventually, right? And then I have like an old, actually even in my bedroom TV, I've got a Samsung television I got on a Prime Day years ago. Got a great deal on that TV. And it has apps built in, but they don't update anything anymore. So I'm almost never using its internal apps. Amazon customer wants to know, where can I find devices to upload to YouTube? So you're talking about streaming boxes, right? My advice on streaming is to get a decent laptop and have the laptop do it. Because right now, everything I'm doing is going into what is essentially a gaming desktop PC, but I use it for video production. So I have a card inside the computer that captures the cameras. So this camera, and this camera are all coming in over the card. Actually, the Apple TV here is also coming in over that card. The card that I have is a Deck Link from Blackmagic, which has 4 inputs. It can handle 4 4K inputs. And then the other two, the Fire TV stick and the Roku, are coming in over NDI. And you can't tell the difference, can you? Like these two, this one and this one are coming in over the network, and these are directly plugged in. You can't tell the difference. It's amazing. So I would look at getting a decent laptop with an NVIDIA GPU is what I would do. But if you don't have that, one device to consider is the Blackmagic ATEM Pro. It's ATEM Pro. It has 4 HDMI inputs, and it can stream to YouTube directly without having a computer. It works great. Sideload winner of these 3, by far the Fire TV, no question, because it's the only one that can really be sideloaded easily. If you had an Android device like a Google TV or the NVIDIA Shield, that would be my pick. But Fire TV is pretty easy to sideload onto. And a friend of mine, Elias Saba, wrote an app called Downloader that makes the process of acquiring apps really easy. So I would say the Fire TV for that. And Michael Corcoran says, I like how the Fire Cube recognizes if I'm watching YouTube on TV at the same time as I open it up on my phone. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think it works like a Chromecast, though. So that's the one thing the Google stuff does better, is that it supports Chromecasting directly. But the Roku does have a Chromecast-like feature where it will load up, just like Chromecast does. It shows up in YouTube, at least, like a Chromecast device. There's so many little things that each device does a little differently than the other. I should make a list at some point. And Elgato makes, they make HD 60 Plus, which will do 4K stuff as well. And that plugs into the computer. All right. Well, everybody, it is about that time. I'm going to call it a night. I'm probably going to do one more stream tomorrow. I'm going to look around and see what the deals are for tomorrow. And if there's anything, a good selection of stuff, I might do a little stream tomorrow afternoon. So Prime Day is not done yet. Prime Day is still happening. So, do your Prime Day thing. I may do some Prime Day shopping in a little bit and see what I can pick up. And if I get enough stuff, I used to get a lot of stuff, but now I have so much stuff and I have everything I need. For a while I was getting a lot of production items because I always needed something different, and there was always these great sales. So I still haven't set it up. I have a Stream Deck, not to be confused with the Steam Deck. I had a Stream Deck, which I bought on Prime Day. I bought my green screen back there on Prime Day. That thing is awesome. So I'm going to go hunt around tonight and see what I get. Maybe I'll do a Prime Day haul video when all the stuff shows up. All right. I'm out of here, everybody. I will talk to you soon. 7-3 Trent, and maybe we'll try we should try a JS8 call QSO. I think that would be fun because I think we could get it to work. Maybe we'll try an FT8 first, and if FT8 works, we'll try for the, because JS8 call, you can actually send a message beyond just your call sign and map grid. Jonathan Nave wants to know, any deals on controllers? There is one deal. Click onto my link. I don't know what it, so they have a bundle of the 8-bit DO controller, the Pro 2, which I have here. I have it selected right now on my thing. The Pro 2 with a case for $48. I think that's a good deal. And if not, look for the Pro 2 standalone. But this is a great controller. One of my favorites. I use it with my Switch. I use it with my PC. I use it with my Fire TV. It is awesome. I reviewed it. You can check out my review on the Amazon page. You got 2 programmable buttons here in the back, rechargeable battery built in. It's really comfortable. It's like they took a PlayStation controller, like all the good things about the PlayStation controller, the handles look very much like a PlayStation, but the controller looks like a SNES controller with sticks bolted on. Analog triggers. You can configure the dead zones and everything. It's got a lot of neat features. So I'm really happy with this one. All right, let me get out of here. But yeah, click the link and you'll find that linked right there. All right, everybody, have a great evening. I'll be back streaming again tomorrow, and then I'll be back on my normal cadence. And I uploaded a video. I made a big mistake. I uploaded a video in the morning, and YouTube thinks that nobody wants to watch it. But I know people are interested in this thing. So I uploaded a review of the Acer Chromebook 514. And that is on YouTube right now. It's a great Chromebook, one of the best I've seen in a while. ARM-based, great performance, so check it out. All right, have a good night. I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.